Hello and welcome to I Want to Grow, and I Want to Grow, you hear me say this every single week. I Want to Grow is all about that. We all want to grow, but with our guests, you've heard this before, it's all about them helping others grow. And today we have a wonderful, wonderful guest on the show. Yousef, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
You really are doing amazing things. But before we get into that, please introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
So my name is Yousef Mahmoud. I've been in Qatar for 13 years. I'm a specialist in business development and youth development. I essentially combine my passions to do something that is impactful to society, which is ultimately instilling within the youth the guide, instilling within the youth the skills necessary to become the leaders of the future.
You say 13 years you've been in Qatar. What got you here in the first place?
Okay, so that's interesting. I'm not as old as I look, maybe, so I came quite young. I'm an entrepreneur by blood, I would say. It's in me. So in 2010, I had a business as soon as I graduated from university in the UK. It was the global financial crisis, so I studied economics. At that time, the investment banks were all going bust. I had an idea to bring people from the Middle East to London, to the UK, to essentially do workshops, do youth development programs, leadership training programs. So this is how it started in the UK. And then I got a call from Qatar. To say, why don't you come and do something similar for us over here? It was for a group of international schools. So that was my entrance into Qatar, which is doing something that, I really loved and had a passion for.
Tell us some examples of what you're doing. And I know you. It's perfect what you're doing, but tell us those examples of what you've been doing for the last 13 years here.
Right. So in the beginning, it was more based on pure youth development. We focused more on instilling within them the seeds of adventure, the seeds of discovery, for them to go and explore the world, not with their families, but within an environment that is, of course, safe, of course, in line with our values, our morals, our religion, and instilling within them, again, those seeds for them to then grow. And funnily enough, last week I was at a wedding of one of my first ever students, who is now, he's nearly 30 years old. So it's really nice to see that transformation within them. And the way we did it was through international trips going. And I would say it's a mix of a variety of things. We mix culture with exploration, with physical activity. The reason why I did this is I remembered when I was 14, 15 years old, you wouldn't be able to see me in one place. I was bouncing everywhere. So I put myself, in their shoes, and I said, well, if I was a 14, 15-year-old, what would I want to do? So my motto was 95% fun, and the education is within it, right? The seeds are within it. We won't say to them, today we're going to learn about team building, or today we're going to learn about decision making, or today we're going to do leadership. No. It will be within an activity that has certain strategy involved. It will be within exploring a new area that you haven't seen, but making sure we stick together. And at the end of it, when we're doing our closing ceremonies, when we're handing out our certificates, the students really resonate with it.
Yeah. And what you... To be invited to somebody's wedding, you must have had an impact on that person on your first event.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, we try to make sure that we keep a relationship with everyone, and it's natural. The relationship is natural. You travel with somebody, they see you as an older brother, they see you as somebody that they can learn from, but I also learned from them. I was fresh to Qatar. I knew not much about the culture, although I'm an Arab, but I didn't know much about the Qatari culture. So it was very much a give and take. And at that time, I was quite young, and they were in their late teens. So we formed a good relationship. I go to their majlis regularly. They still meet with each other, same group of friends. And it's really beautiful to see that. And they remember our programs more than I can remember it. So every time I go, they'll say, do you remember when we did this? And I would, yeah, I remember it. But the thing is, you're busy dealing with delivering to make sure that they are really immersed within the experience.
Yeah. And how has that progress been? So you started and you start these courses. You must be doing a lot of things now and going in different directions.
Indeed. So after I actually left that, so after about a year and a half, I left it and I moved into business development, something where I think 2012, 2013, that term wasn't really coined, it wasn't really defined so much, but I was told, your business development. I was like, okay, so what does that mean? And essentially it was going into businesses and doing BD and identifying opportunities and identifying, I like to say you identify the dots and then you find the way to connect them where everyone wins. So I moved corporate. I moved into corporate, left education, left youth development, left all of it, and I went into the corporate world. I worked for in a number of different industries with a number of different companies. Alhamdulillah, I reached good positions in these companies. But there was always that niggling feeling of, I want to make more of an impact, and I love the feeling of someone benefiting from what I do. Making money is great, but we can make money and make a difference.
Yeah.
So that was, so the breaking point was maybe around 2020, 2021. I was kind of done with corporate, but learned so much from it. Learn how to really structure business deals, how to do joint ventures, how to bring companies from all over the world. In fact, I opened a business development company where we would advise local businesses on improving their businesses. We would advise the international businesses on not just how to enter the market, but where are the projects? Where are the clients? How do you get to them? What's the culture of doing business in the GCC? It's not the same as doing it outside, and you would know that very well. And we're aligned in that side of things, which is in the business side. And again, business is a big passion of mine. Business development is a big passion of mine. But during COVID, I never changed my number from when I first got here. So I will always get calls, and it's always related to education. Oh, do you know someone who can do this? Or do you know someone who can do that? My son doesn't know what he wants to study in university. Or do you know somebody who can help him with applications? Or do you know somebody who can guide him? So essentially, I drew on the experience of business development and how to grow a line of services as opposed to just doing, okay, we just do trips, for example. We then developed, no, let's create a holistic, turnkey, let's say, business solution, but it's more so a youth development solution. So my first company in the UK that I started was called Campus Camps. So I translated the campus to Busla. Busla is campus in Arabic. So we just changed the name. I don't know how creative that is, but there we go. So Busla was born, and it was born, and given the campus guides and shows the direction, we said, okay, instead of doing one thing, let's turn this into a number of services that we can then advise and support the students throughout their journey. So now we have 4 pillars. Our first pillar is educational tourism, because the students can start from a young age. From 12, 13 years old, they can go on these international trips. They can go on these local trips. We can plant the seed of exploration. We can plant the seed of discovery. We can plant those seeds within them that then blossom, and then we help them get to that next stage. So then I thought, okay, so what's the next stage? So the second pillar is counseling and coaching.
Yep.
So we do coaching sessions, counseling sessions. We work with psychologists. We work with different specialists, because I can't be a specialist in everything. So you go and get the best to come and deliver. But what we do is we deliver the platform for the students to then benefit from. So to give you an example, we would go into schools and we wouldn't just speak to them about, we're going to do a trip for you, or we're going to help you go to university. But we'll sit down and give them a full session of how they can live abroad. How do you function as a Qatari, Arab, Muslim in the UK as a student? We'll give them those direct classes, or let's say sessions. We also work with one-to-one individuals. You find that students have stress management. There's a bit of anxiety. We support them from that side of things.
Wow.
We have students who are very keen to learn about business from the young age of 14, 15 years old. And we're actually developing a program in the summer for aspiring young entrepreneurs. But what we're doing is we are instilling the necessary skills that you need to become the entrepreneur, that every CEO has, that every young businessman has, that every risk taker has.
And tell us what ages. I'm staggered by this, but what ages are those children going to be?
So that would be the age from 14 to 17. We did a lot of research, and Qatar is offering a phenomenal number of services, great workshops, great programs, and just I'm a firm believer in we can do more together. Just because someone's doing something, I'm not going to say, well, it's done now. You know, someone else is doing it. Well, no, let me find a way for us to do it together. Or let's find a way for us to complement one another. So that's why we're taking the pre-18, instilling those skills within them. How do you actually conduct research? How do you actually have clarity in your mind to identify an idea that is then tangible, right? In a practical manner. How do you have the confidence to speak in front of people? How do you have the confidence to believe within your own self? To believe in yourself? Because we have students we have youth, you know, and I love working with youth and I love developing the youth and giving them that confidence, giving them those real skills and those practical workshops. And it's not just me. I have successful entrepreneurs, I have aspiring businessmen, I have people who will come and show different levels of examples, but we all carry the same characteristics: clarity, communication, confidence. These are 3 C's that you have, otherwise you wouldn't be doing this, right? The top leaders in the country, the top positions that are out here, the people that hold the positions, the owners of the businesses, they have these 3 things, because if they didn't have the clarity, they wouldn't be able to communicate effectively, and therefore they wouldn't have the confidence even in what they're saying.
But you take this for granted sometimes, but these are things that you can work at. It's like that muscle, right? You can work at that clarity, you can work at the confidence in all those areas, and it's something that we've got to encourage. We underestimate it because we're looking at something else, or we're thinking about the idea or the concept.
Exactly that.
But we're not building ourselves. We don't give enough time to build ourselves in the beginning.
Absolutely that. And I'll be honest with you, I love working in this field, but I found that personally, my mind was quite clouded. I didn't have my own clarity.
Yep.
Until not very long ago, where the ideas are there, the businesses are there, things are moving, things are going in the right direction, but a lot of it is in my head. I haven't written most of it down, you know. How am I going to be the best coach, the best youth coach, life coach, business coach, if I don't know what I'm doing, right? And I went through a number of exercises, and I worked with people that we did these exercises together, and it gave me great clarity. And it's exactly as you said. We neglect this because we're so focused. Okay, no, I want to do this, then I'm going to do that, then I'm going to grow this, sell this, buy that. But then it's all just, okay, that's the direction I'm going, and great, we have to keep moving. But sometimes you take a pit stop. Sometimes you collect your thoughts. You identify where your clarity is, because you might find yourself veering to a wrong direction. You might find yourself overworking yourself and not getting to where you want to be because you haven't really sat down and identified exactly what it is we want to do. So through that activity, through these things which I would advise people to do, I took my own advice, did it myself, and said, you know what? Our youth need those skills. Before we run to, let's get you incubated, let's start selling these products, let's teach you how to do online business, let's teach you how to open a store. No. Let's wait a second. Let's collect our thoughts. Let's really identify what your passion is. Let's really know, before you come up with an idea, how do you come up with an idea? So these, and I kind of, after a lot of research, we took it down to those 3 C's. Yeah. Clarity, breeds confidence, and then allows you to communicate.
Yeah. I like the confidence side.
Absolutely.
I think with the confidence side, if we only put more effort into that area, then the achievements that people could do will double.
100%.
Because it's confidence is, and I go back to this same thing, and the confidence is a muscle. What we've got to do is get used to, and it's one of those things that you've got to break the confidence, and you've got to question the confidence, because you've got to work it. You've got to, like a muscle, you've got to break it and it goes stronger.
Absolutely.
You distress it and you get stronger. And I think that's something that we've got to use, because with confidence, you can achieve anything.
100%.
If you show this clarity, if you show them how to understand these things, then they're going to get better, because they're open to it, because their confidence is high. And to learn those other tools, is there an age that is it better in the youth, or can you still use it at what age?
Any age. It's any age. So we work with the youth because Busla is an education and training consultancy. So again, we take them from that young age and equip them with the skills, equip them with the abilities. We also, our third pillar is university admissions. So we're a Qatari registered agent for more than 1,300 universities around the world. So we send a lot of our students, will go all over the world on scholarships, on sponsors, on self-funded, whatever it may be. So again, before sending you off, we need to build some key skills so that when you are out there, you're not going out there for a 4-year term, I'm getting my bachelor's, I'm getting my master's, and I'm coming back. No, I'm going there with a curious mind. I'm going there with a mind that identifies opportunity, because you've learned how to have the clarity. You've learned how to have the confidence to speak to someone which you may not have spoken to in the past. You may have just stayed with your friends. You may have just stayed because it's the safe side. We all like to be safe. No one really wants to go outside, right? But when you're instilling within them, no. When you go outside, you're not losing who you are. In fact, you're a representation. You're a representation of, I would say, first and foremost, your religion, your country, your family, right? Especially here. So it's really important to represent. And again, you have the confidence within yourself, you will represent. You represent yourself, your family, your country, and your religion very well.
Clarity, I'm loving the word, because you need clarity from an individual perspective to who you are. So all of that family, country, that all becomes very clear to you, and what's important to you. It's confidence and what's the third? Communication.
Which is everything.
Exactly.
It's everything. But you can't communicate without the other two.
Yeah, but which ones is, because I think it's that which one is the most important? They're all as important as one another.
100%. They are interdependent.
Yeah.
But without the clarity, you cannot be confident. Otherwise, you will be confident in something that you really don't believe in. So how confident can you really be?
Yeah.
Especially if you're being honest with yourself.
But I think that with entrepreneurs, this is the 3 fundamentals that you should be looking at before you even consider starting.
100%. And this is why our program focuses on developing the skill. Then we'll take you onto the business side. Then we'll hand you over to an incubator. Then we'll work with everyone. I'm a firm believer in collaboration. I want to instill these skills so that wherever they go afterwards, it's within them. They know how to question themselves. They know how to question, does this make sense? Do I know what I'm doing? And there's certain activities, certain workshops that actually you may be lost. You may be a retired older gentleman or woman and you've never had clarity before. And within short space of time, you're like, why didn't I think like this?
It's the light bulb moment.
Exactly that. And we work, so personally, I work with youth and I work with everyone. So I work with businesses as a personal level, as a business coach. So I will work with businesses on how to improve their business, on how to improve their bottom line, on certain aspects within the business. Work with aspiring entrepreneurs and work with established entrepreneurs. Because everyone needs support. Because I got the support as an entrepreneur, as someone who's already doing something that is so impactful, but I can be 10x more impactful if I'm more clear.
Do you think, and it's like, if you had a startup in front of you now, what would it be that program that you were going to install to them over an 11-week, 12-week program? Where does it start and where does it end?
In terms of what?
In terms of a startup, how would you deal with a startup? How would you kind of entrepreneurship? How would you start with them? How would you said you'd give them over to an incubator, but what would be those fundamentals that you wanted to install into them in the first place?
So the key skills that an entrepreneur needs. The key skills that an entrepreneur needs. So before you go to get incubated, you have to be crystal clear with what your identity is as an individual, what your message and vision is of what your startup is, because it's a representation of yourself. And really to go deeper into, okay, you have the concept, how far is this going to go? Yeah. How much legs does it have? Let's go through a number of activities, or let's go through a number of scenarios where then once you've passed it, you then can say, okay, I'm ready. And it's industry agnostic. It's age. It's not about age, but we're developing the future generation. So there are others that are working with the other demographics. I don't want the whole demographic.
Yep.
But I want to work with the youth, and I want to work with others that work with the youth, to then create something exceptional, to create something that is really a spotlight. Especially in Qatar. I've been here a long time and I have a lot of love for the country. And what made me love the country was the youth of the country. Because when I first got here, I was put into a school and I was given amazing advice. He said to me, go to the school. I said, I'm not a teacher. He said, you're not going to be a teacher. Go and speak to the students. Once you understand their mind, once you understand the way they tick, once you understand what they like to do, what they don't like to do, you will create something that is going to work.
Yeah. Right?
And more than a decade later, I'm still in contact with the students. Why? Because they made me feel at home. They would invite me. I was alone. I was young. And they would make majlis, dinner, sitting down. But they want to listen to you. And I want to listen to them. Right? So for me, it's more than just a business. It's a passion, and it's a passion for me here specifically. We are already expanding. We've already entered other markets. But for me, I want to solidify our place within the Qatari ecosystem and to work with many stakeholders to really get the best out of our youth.
Which C is your favorite? Which C is the one that you think is the winner?
You know, I would say it would be...
I've got mine already.
Yeah? Okay. So I would say it's communication, right? Because effective communication is everything. However, I've changed my mind and I've brought it back to clarity.
I'm really interested in this because this is, for me, it's confidence.
I understand.
I want the confidence, but then I also feel that whereas lacking in even though we might be doing a podcast, but even with this, it's clarity. What are you trying to say? And then it's the communication.
There you go.
It's like those are two that I need to improve on.
Yeah, we all do. We all do. It's not something where I have it. Tick the box. No, absolutely not. Constantly. But one thing about confidence is a state of mind. So if you take confidence as a state of mind, you can be confident, but the next day you can be, I'm not confident. So that element of confidence, we instill something, a bit deeper layer of curiosity. Because when you have a curious mind, if I say something, what's the worst that's going to happen? He's going to reply to me, what's he going to say to me? If I stand in the middle of a room and talk, if I put my hand up in a class and I say something and it's wrong, what's going to happen? Actually, nothing's going to happen. Nothing. It's just within you.
Yeah.
So that seed of curiosity, then you say, well, let me try. That's what's going to make me say, well, let me think of an idea. Well, let me try it. The clarity is what narrows it down to, this is what I want to do, right? But that curiosity and that confidence to say, you know what? Why not?
Yeah. Why? And again, I was saying this to... I was in this meeting yesterday, and I really wanted to say something. And in my mind, I'm going, you better not mess up. You're sitting with some of the biggest companies in the world for what they do, and you better not mess up. But I had this desire in me that was just tearing me to pieces because it wanted me to speak. And I'm thinking, oh no, I can't do it. I just can't. I don't want to make myself look stupid. Right. But if you do that, I always thought that is if you'd done it, make sure your clarity was right.
There you go. There
The
you go.
communication.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Communication, it can be worked on, but clarity, you just had to get it in the beginning, middle, and end.
Yes.
Just making sure you knew what you wanted to
Right.
achieve from
Right.
that. And I think for me, that's where I need the most work in myself, is the clarity. What am I trying to achieve? What am I trying to get from it? Confident is, if you haven't got confidence, those other two ain't going to worry.
Right.
But if you have got confidence, then they're important.
For sure.
And okay, you've got this, so forget this now. You need to work on these areas because, again, you could have clarity, but you may not even talk because you haven't got the confidence.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that.
And I find this fascinating, and I really do. And I've always liked what you do. But okay, so tell us. We could talk about this for hours, and I would love to talk about it, and I would love to debate with you which one and where do you bring it in, and if you've got so many people in your group, how are you going to work on those different areas?
Well, we have specialists like yourself with us.
But you could look at it and you can say, hold on a second, if you've got many people in that group, they're all going to help one another because you're going to be better at clarity and you're going to be good at confidence and you're going to be good at the communication.
Right, absolutely.
So I've got them working with one another.
Absolutely that. And that's where the next level of the entrepreneur, which is leadership, team building, right? You learn that within these, right? Within that ecosystem, because you're working in teams, because it's interdependent, because someone may be better at something than another, then we're now forming teams.
Yeah. Teamwork is everything.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I sat with a guy this morning. We had a podcast beforehand with head of Technicu, built that company over 25 years. And I've seen many other different entrepreneurs, investment houses, investment people that are investing in these different companies. And they all say the team. They all say the team.
Of course.
Without it, you've got nothing.
Absolutely.
And that's before you even start thinking about anything else. Those are the fundamentals you've got to get right first.
100%. 100%. And you'll find that the best leaders, well, a leader essentially is a reflection of his team. And that puts them on his back and goes ahead and leads by example, but cannot do it without the abilities of each team member. And they play such a crucial role. I have a fantastic team, and we're always looking for the best, right? Even if you're not working directly, you work with us in a partnership. You collaborate with us. We want to use everyone's expertise to get the best.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
100%. And I must admit, I'm blessed because I've got a great team. I really have. And I never want to be the smartest person in the room.
Never.
Never, ever.
Never.
And I don't feel intimidated by it either.
Yeah. No, I like that.
I like
that
it.
very much.
It's so important. And it's so important because if you get those magical parts done, the journey is all about the tough times. And when you get through those tough times with other individuals, I asked the guy this morning, bring something along that stands out to you. Do you know what he brought? He brought me an album. You know how excited he got because he was talking about this person, this person, this person, and those people that's been part of the journey.
Yeah,
his business partner, right? And he was talking about all those different things, and you saw the lights in his eyes go up. We didn't say about the cash flows it was all about that journey.
Absolutely.
And I think that's key. And I think what I think you're onto. I said this to you before. I think you're onto something, and the light bulb is going on for me because even at 57, I know I need confidence. I can find, but the clarity and the communication I need to find. I need to keep on working at those areas because we've got to encourage, and that comes back. And that's what I like about what you do is you're encouraging the youth. You're encouraging other people to go and get out of their comfort zone.
Absolutely.
Go to somewhere else and say, and me thinking, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. You can do it.
You can.
You can do it, and I'm going to show you. What's the type of things, I know that we spoke just beforehand, what's the type of things that you're doing with these trips abroad when you're taking them?
So when we do trips abroad, so we do our own trips, so our own Busla trips where we create the full program, and a lot of that would then be thematic depending on location that we want to go to, but we work a lot with schools, so the schools will tell you we want it to be more culture-based, we want it to be more history-based, but we will always put our touch on it. So, for example, we worked with one of the schools. It's a Qatar Leadership Academy, fantastic school. It's a military boarding school, and it's quite different concept to the rest of the schools here in Qatar. When we struck a partnership with them, they said, "Okay, we want to do youth development program. What have you got for us?" So we'll take them. They wanted to go to the UK. So okay, no problem. So we took them to the UK, and we started with hiking third biggest mountain in the UK, Snowdonia. What we try to do is every activity needs to be a new experience. You've been to the UK before. You've been to the Knightsbridge. You've gone and seen this. You've gone and traveled around the world. You've stayed in the nice hotel, whatever it may be. And every student came back saying, never done that before, never done that before, never done that before. And that's the key, right? Because they'll remember it for the rest of their life. So we did the mountain hiking. That achievement of reaching the summit and the pictures that we have of the students and how elated they are. Less than 24 hours, I'd never met them before. You know, because it's with the school, right? So I just met them in the airport. They don't really know Yousef. They don't really know whatever, Mr. Yousef. They don't know me. But just through the experience of, come on guys, let's go. We're hiking. We're going through. We're all supporting one another. That teamwork, getting to the top. The dinner that you have that evening is probably the best tasting dinner you've ever had in your life. You know, any activity you do after that is extremely fun. So you go from physical activities, then we'll have the mental activities. Because this was a military school, we had a lot of cadet training. So we had a cadet. You're aware of the cadets, right? So we had a cadet that came, waking them up at 5 a.m, doing drills with them, doing activities with them. No one complained. No one complained. No one complained. Because you're making sure that every aspect of their day, of what they like, is fulfilled. And at the end, of course you give free time. Of course you have entertainment. Of course you have fun. But if you ask them what was the highlight, maybe they will say when we went to London and when we walked around a bit. But other than that, they will say probably there'll be so many highlights because we went and did an evaluation. And they said, well, the ending ceremony where you had the winning team, then you had the best of this, and you had the best of that. And we make sure that everyone's included, but we're not going to give a medal to everyone. We want to make sure that you've achieved something, right? Everyone had a performance. In the beginning, if I told them you will do a play or you will have a performance or you write a script and you about anything, no, come on, sir, come on, I'm not going to talk about that. But my friends are here, and they were all so excited to do it and egging each other on and improving their script.
And that's the magic.
That's the magic. That's the magic because they never forget. So it could be the group that we recently had, could be the group that we had in 2011, could be the groups that we had prior to that before I came to Qatar. They never forget because we make sure that it's an experience.
Yeah.
Schools want it to be what the schools want, no problem. We'll tick all of the boxes, but we will add our flavor to make it an experience that you won't forget. From a business point of view, this is called continuity and loyalty, right? But from a development point of view, this really is letting that seed blossom.
You have said some powerful things today where I've seen these things in action and I've seen them working. I was lucky enough that you're talking about team, you're talking about, to a certain degree, discipline. You're talking about leadership where you want them to feel part of that team. They're bringing up the last person, so they're encouraging the last person. And sometimes they've got to go and lead to show the way. These are all the attributes that make society a lot better, right?
100%.
And it shows care, it shows thoughtfulness, it shows hard work and determination. And I think we need more of this. Yes, I think we need more of this. So you saying going into schools, and I'm trying to think with the startup ecosystem here is how to get the universities involved more.
Right.
But if you can go before the universities,
this is it.
And get them more involved, then you can identify those people and try to endorse it, and get them to feel it's okay about it, and learn those skills that they'll put to use in every part of their life.
Absolutely, because once they get to uni, for example, I've heard countless stories, and I get countless students coming to me, and they're already 20, 21. Oh, I did this, then I dropped out of that, and then I went and did this. And then I took a year out, and then I applied for a different major. It's all good and well, no problem. But they'll always say something. If there was someone or something that really kind of told me the route or the way or let me make a decision based on facts, not just my friends or my this told me I was in here, someone did this. That's great. Always see what's going on around you. But you'll find that you could have saved a couple of years if you knew what you wanted. And if you wanted to go into academia, you go into academia. If you didn't want to go into academia, what else could you have done? What skills could you have gained? Well, you work for a couple of years, then go into education.
Clarity.
Clarity.
What do you really want?
There you go.
I had another guy, again, this guy today. And I said, your children, what are you going to advise them? And he looked up and he said, I'm going to let them make their own decisions, their own choices. I'm just going to support them in the things that they need to do. I'm going to support them in whatever they decide to take. And I think, again, this fits into so well with your side of things. But it's just, if you looked at those 3 C's, and I'm starting to learn them now, right? So clarity, communication, but I like the one confidence. But if you give them all those 3, they're magnificent tools.
Absolutely.
Magnificent tools. Before you think about anything else, or I'm going to build cameras, or create the best camera in the world. Before you even get to that stage, enjoy your development.
There you go.
Enjoy your development.
You have, self-actualization in theory is fantastic, right? Self-actualization, which is essentially being the best you can be, right? Now, I'm not a preacher and I'm not the best, but in my religion, in Islam, we are taught to be the best you can be. And the best you can be, if you look back into certain recent history, in Europe they called it the Dark Ages. But those ages is where it was dark for them. But it was the best period of human history because where most things were created. Most things, the Enlightenment period. All of these periods where their inventions were there. You had the camera, the coffee, the medical equipment, algebra. A lot of this, and I will not say it's because they were Muslim. No, because non-Muslims did a lot, of course. But for me, it was that instilling within that you need to be the best. And the best isn't the pressure of, you have to win in everything, whatever. No, you need to be the best you can be. How good can you become, Steve? How much better can you become? How much can your diet improve? How much can your well-being improve? How much can your business improve? It all comes down to what the self-development, right? How much better can Yousef be? 1,000,000 times. 1,000,000 times. So understanding, you know what? Contentment, we have to always be content, no matter what. But contentment doesn't mean sit down, life's good, easy, simple. Alhamdulillah, we live in a country where everything is provided, everything is good, different to other places around the world. But unfortunately, it's kind of a level of a bit too comfortable. A little bit too comfortable. Sometimes you want to get out of that comfort zone. Sometimes it's good to feel a little bit of pressure. Just so when your back's against the wall, you come up with something. Sometimes, personally, when my back's against the wall, I'm the most creative. But it doesn't mean I back myself up, right? It means you understand, maybe you put some pressure on yourself to come up with an answer. Everyone ticks differently.
Maybe you didn't need to have your back against the wall.
There you go.
If you would have reacted a lot sooner.
Sure.
Right? So I believe in all this. What's your next steps then? What's your, because I'm just so impressed with what you do, right? But what's your next steps? Where do you get better to provide more?
So personally, it would be to enhance my own ability to communicate, enhance my ability to be more clear. Because someone said something interesting to me recently. I think you might know him. He said to me, if the Amir was sitting right next to you, right here, and you got 5 minutes with him, and he's listening, what are you going to say to him? And I just rambled on. But it wasn't something decisive. So we all have to improve in something, right? The clearer we are, the faster we're going to get to where we want to be. The next steps for me is to engage with the key stakeholders in the country. Engage with the large businesses, engage with the incubation centers, to put this at a much higher level. Yes, we're running a program in August for the youth, establishing those skills. It's going to be great. Inshallah, it's going to be fantastic. But we want to take that to the next level. We want every single one of them to have an internship at the end of it. We want to work with the stakeholders that if they do have an idea, hey, let's get that in. Maybe there are investors, maybe there are incubators involved. Maybe they want to just go ahead and do it themselves. So from that side of things, that's what we're doing. Otherwise, personally, I'm taking a pivoting slightly. It's still within in being impactful, still within development, still within youth, but it's more so doing the continuity, so the coaching. So more direct. We're going to do programs, the business is running, we're going to do that stuff, but then again, working with the individuals. So you finish the program or you haven't done the program, working with them on, okay, let's get to where you want to be. Let's get your passion out. And that's age, that's not to do with age. Because the clients that I have now are of all ages. Some have never done a business in their life, some have a group of businesses. And we work on the mindset, I work on the business side. So if you already have a business, I will work on the business side on developing it, improving it, cutting your costs down, improving your profits. So more on a business development consultancy level, because I have a big passion for it. But ultimately, it's the combination of doing that with the youth, doing that with someone in university or someone that's a fresh graduate, somebody that's started working but wants to have a side business on the side. Let's get it up and running. Let's get you going to actually how you do it. Because everyone has ideas. You sit with everyone, they all have ideas. Unless somebody's not interested in business, and that's up to them. Not everyone's interested in business. But those that are, they'll have a lot of ideas. But it's the harnessing of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and it's not just about, well, look, I've got the capital, let me try it and we'll see what happens. Bismillah. Okay, that's great. Right? But just did a little bit of planning before that, a little bit clear with what you wanted to do. If you had the right strategy, the right communication strategy, the right development strategy, people are going to come to you. And that's not just here. That's so we're expanding within the GCC as well because we see that there is a insatiable demand, you know, for that. So it's really important from that side of things. But on the Busla level, it's going into more schools. It's going into schools in the other regions. Again, to showcase to them that we are not university agents. We are not trip providers. No, we're coming here as youth developers, leadership trainers that deliver a variety of services. And if you want us to work with you on developing your strategy, this is what we like to do.
Your clarity, your communication, and your confidence is immense.
Thank you so much.
I'm listening to you, and I think you do an incredible job. Without a shadow of a doubt, I think you do an incredible job. And but all I'm thinking about at the moment is what I would say to the Emir.
Exactly.
If I had 5 minutes.
It got me thinking for a couple of days because I was like, well, what exactly? I need to be like we're saying great things, we're doing great things, but he ain't got time for all that.
Do you know, all I would say to him is I would look up and say, with your daughter the other day when you went to saw her graduation and you were sitting unassuming in the middle where all the parents were sitting, you are a magnificent man.
Yes.
That was a very humbling thing to do. And it was his daughter's graduation and he was in the background. I loved, as a parent, I loved every second of it.
Right, that's beautiful leadership.
Oh, beautiful.
Leadership.
Beautiful. But that was my thing because it's been with me for quite some time. So I'm glad you let me get that off the chest.
No problem. Go ahead.
But I'm impressed with your journey. I really am. And I think that there's massive things coming for your journey.
Yeah. Together with many people.
I'm definitely going to be one of those people that work with you because I think the light bulb has gone on with me, but I've got to work on my clarity and my communication.
Right.
And I'm going to come to you for that.
No problem. I'll be more than happy.
Thank you so much for being a guest with me today.
You're most welcome.
I am, and I will put up all your contact details so that people can get in contact with you.
Yeah. I'm not a big social media guy, so I don't have it. But I'm doing it for the sake, or I will do it, inshallah. If somebody can help me, it would be great. I'm a dinosaur when it comes to that stuff. But really to get the word out there.
It doesn't matter what you're doing is magnificent.
Thank you
okay,
so much.
magnificent. So every way that we can help you with a social media perspective, that's what we're going to do, because I think your work is incredible.
Thank you.
And thanks very much for coming on the show.
I appreciate it, Steve.
The most important three things that you've got to remember after this podcast today, there's three things, okay? Clarity first. Just think about everything that you're trying to achieve, okay? Mine, it's always going to be the confidence, okay? It's going to be the confidence, because if you are confident, you could achieve anything. But then your communication, work on it. Work on it constantly. If you feel that you don't want to put your hand up, if you feel you want to say something and you can't, you just do it. But work on that communication. Don't be afraid of it, because it's going to get you everywhere. Okay? And you'll never know who the people that you meet, you'll never know who you start, what you get involved in, but the journey's a magnificent one. So just think about those three things, okay? Three things. There's only one thing I've got to do now to finish off the show, is thank Workington. Working to me has given us all this opportunity. They're looking after us on so many different levels. And you really, if you need an office space, you need to come here, right? There's a great community. It's a thriving community, especially for the startup ecosystem. So if you're looking for an office, come here. And it's the community and it's the way that they all pull together. So you've got to check out Workington. And they do so many magnificent courses. So get yourself involved. And Workington, thank you for letting us be here.